So guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name's Heather and I am an Etsy and print-on-demand seller who has earned multiple six figures in my Etsy and print-on-demand business, and now I teach others on how they can do it too. But today I wanted to talk about a topic that a lot of people don't discuss, and we're going to discuss it today, especially Etsy gurus. They won't talk about the negatives of Etsy, and I keep it honest on my channel. I still love Etsy as my number one platform to sell print-on-demand items on. However, I'm not going to say Etsy hasn't done me dirty. And we're going to talk about it today, especially since we are entering into the fall time and Halloween. I wanted to kind of talk about some creepy Etsy things that happen and the dark side of Etsy, if you will. So today I wanted to talk specifically about Etsy banning stores without any reason. Now, if you guys want to get kind of creepy today and spooky, I honestly did not script this video today. I apologize for my editor, but I just wanted to kind of have just a chat with you guys because that's the number one question I get, and I see it on my YouTube channel, in the Print on Demand Friends Facebook group. We get it every single week, and usually students and a lot of people who are in the Print on Demand Facebook group, Print on Demand Friends, if you haven't already joined it below. But most of the time it's not rare to get banned or suspended on Etsy without no emails. Etsy just does this thing where they won't even email you. They'll just take your account down. They suspend your account. They won't message you at all. They won't send an email as to why. Sometimes the email will show up a few days later, but I've seen that with my own store. When I began in 2020 and my Etsy store failed the first time, I remember I created 50 different types of designs. I uploaded them on my store. Then my store got suspended for 2 weeks. And I remember during that time, I just thought in my head, I am not going back to Etsy. I'm done with Etsy. This is so rude of a company that's making millions of dollars a year. And they won't even message me to say, hey, we're suspending you for this reason. You have to email them first. And that's what got me when I first began. I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to have a store with Etsy on this platform. And then I took some time, my store got brought back up. And I want to say, if your store is suspended, just know that it will get unsuspended. It does happen quite often. Unfortunately, to new stores, if you're under 2 months old, I'd say that is the time that Etsy likes to ban people and suspend people and not tell anyone. It's very creepy in itself, and it's kind of disheartening for Etsy sellers when a company that's widely known does not even email you. And that's my biggest problem with Etsy, and I hope that someone who works from Etsy sees this video and changes their ways of operating, because it happens so often and it's so unfortunate. And me being someone on this platform, I feel like there should be a reason to why, and they should email us, if we're shut down. So that's just my only issue I have with Etsy, is they do that. And then there's this magical and mysterious thing called shadow banning that Etsy partakes in as well. And shadow banning is seen among multiple different types of platforms, not just Etsy. You see it on YouTube, you see it on TikTok, you see it even on, I think Facebook has suspended accounts too, but Facebook doesn't count in this scenario. But Instagram too, there's so many other places you can get shadow banned. And what shadow banning is where Etsy will remove your listings from search, they'll remove it from related listings. They ultimately just end up stopping and showing your listings to anyone that goes on Etsy. But the thing is that gets me, and this is the dark side of Etsy, is Etsy won't message you. They won't tell you why you're shadow banned. They won't email you. You won't find out until you just see your statistics drop suddenly. And I've seen this happen with my own store on probably 2 separate occasions now where out of nowhere, I will get no sales for a few days, or maybe I'll get less than 10 sales for a few days. And it's very spooky and creepy how it happens because Etsy never has messaged me in the past. I've had to do my own digging and my own research and see why it was suspended or closed. So the first time it happened, I realized that I had an Etsy case filed against me. So cases are when a customer opens up a claim stating that you as a seller are not taking care of your customer service appropriately. That's basically essentially what it's stating if they file a claim against you or a case against you. So sometimes you may get an Etsy case filed against you. You will have a little orange one that shows up in your Etsy seller account on the left-hand side. So you want to look at that and make sure there's no cases filed against you. You'll also get an email from Etsy when a case is filed against you as well. So that's one thing you need to stay on top of, because if you have 3 Etsy cases filed against you, you will potentially get suspended or permanently removed from Etsy. So that is the creepy and spooky side of Etsy, is even if you are a well-established store, you are not protected from just randomly getting banned and removed and suspended from Etsy. And that's the one thing that frustrates me as an Etsy seller, is you can get taken away so easily and you don't really have your own website. And that's why I always suggest to make sure you're building an email list, make sure you're building a social media platform, whether that be Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You need to have these resources at your fingertips and a extra level of control over your store, over your customers, and also creating a loyal customer base. Because let's say you get removed from Etsy, you can email all of your email subscribers and say, hey, we moved to a new website. You don't have to mention you were removed from Etsy, of course, but this is something that a lot of new Etsy sellers have said in the past. And that's why you see a lot of Etsy sellers go from Etsy to Shopify, because it is frustrating, especially if you put so much time and resources into Etsy and they just randomly shut you down, which is a huge slap in the face as an Etsy seller who's put hours and hours and hours into their own Etsy store. With that being said, if you get shadow banned, there might be a few reasons. And I made a separate video in the past month about shadow banning. I highly recommend checking it out. But what is really important is if you get shadow banned, you need to find out what's going on. And again, watch my video, find out the reasons why you could get shadow banned. But that's essentially the dark side of Etsy that no one really talks about, is you just randomly getting taken down. And the craziest part is if you go through YouTube, there's multiple different videos and different people who have had Etsy stores and they've been taken down randomly and suddenly, and people have seen a drop in revenue. Maybe they're operating at a full-time operation with multiple employees underneath them. Then they randomly find out that their store is suspended. That means that they have to let go of employees, that they have to basically go and find their own job because they don't have a job anymore since their Etsy store was shut down in a blink of an eye. And that's something that I've seen on Etsy that really stinks. And that's why I always say to have a second stream of income. If you're doing this with Etsy and print on demand, maybe you can open up a Shopify and print on demand store. But I just would highly recommend always having a second stream of income. That's what I did when I decided to do Etsy full time. I decided to have a YouTube channel because that's a second stream of income. But this is why it's so important to have a second stream of income, just making sure that you have more control over your life just in case something happens like that. And with that being said, Etsy could go down for a few days. What if the Etsy platform is hacked? Or what if Etsy decides that they're selling their company off and something like that? You just never know. And that's why you need to have your eggs always in multiple baskets. Now, with that being said, I just want to say that Etsy is still my #1 choice for print on demand because of the low startup costs. It's beginner friendly, and Etsy does marketing for you. There's not much marketing background and experience you need. However, that's why I just say always build a second income stream rather than just quitting your day job if you have an Etsy and print on demand store really working for you. So I actually was was banned and suspended a second time on my Etsy store. Etsy was my full-time income, and that was the scariest and spookiest, so to speak, part of me running my business. For probably a day or two, I really had a moment where I was like, okay, time to go back to my 9 to 5 because my Etsy store might not reopen. And I emailed Etsy right away about it because I was entering information into the financial area on Etsy, and I was putting in my business EIN, and the business EIN, from what I found out, is different than your business number or something like that. And I would suggest and recommend emailing Etsy, but there was a different business number that I thought was the EIN I was supposed to enter in. I entered in the EIN multiple times. Then I got basically suspended on my account because my financial information was incorrect. So I emailed Etsy, and they emailed me probably about 6 to 8 hours after, but for probably 8 hours that day, I was freaking out because I believe it was in October or November when my sales were ramping up. I was getting 30 sales a day, and I freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh, I had went to part-time at my hospital job. The most of my income was coming from my Etsy and print-on-demand store. So when it got suspended for that day, I freaked out basically the whole day. Then I got an email from Etsy just stating, we'll give you one more try. You just have to enter in incorrectly. And just so you know, the business EIN is different than the business number that's registered from your state. So I re-entered it in and I fixed the problem, but that was just a really scary time for me, especially since I had an established full-time business. So that's why I think it's so important that you don't quit your day job and that you always have a second income stream, no matter what. And, you know, even people get income streams through having dividends, maybe having a YouTube channel, maybe having a blog, affiliate marketing, digital product sales, or a second website for print on demand, such as Shopify or maybe WooCommerce. There's so many other places that you can go with print on demand now. So that's something I would suggest to anyone who is looking to do this full time or already has a full-time business with Etsy. With that being said, I just wanted to have a real conversation with you guys. Like I said, I still think Etsy is the best place to go. I still have a thriving Etsy and print on demand business that earns me multiple 6 figures in a given year. And I love selling on the Etsy platform. I really do. I think it's one of the easiest ways for me to have my print on demand business running and being a form of passive income while running a YouTube business, an online coaching business, and also a second YouTube account. If you guys are interested in generating a different income stream, I have a second YouTube now where I go over how to create digital products and online courses. And on top of that, I go over YouTube monetization and affiliate marketing as well. So I highly suggest checking out that second channel and subscribing to that since it is a newer channel. That would be great if you decided to support me. But besides that, guys, I will see you all in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe, comment down below with any instances that you've had spooky times with the Etsy algorithm and randomly suspending people. I'd love to hear your stories. Besides that, guys, I will see you all in the next video here. You are not, especially when you put so much time in Etsy and Etsert. Besides that, guys, I would love to hear your experiences. Sorry, I'm gonna add one part. That's what happens when I don't script videos. I still have a live, and if you guys are interested in, and besides that, don't forget to, I don't even know what I'm saying.